So, ooh, a lot of mosquitoes out here, so it'll be getting darker. Just a quick share. You know, it's there's no desire to be with someone when you lose respect for them, and in particular, I think I really lost respect for Joseph Robinson. I lost respect for him as a so-called elder, and that's what it contaminated the whole thing. And I actually lost respect for many of the women. Now, one of the draws there was that these were people that I could respect, that really took a chance on leaving the United States and doing something different and growing their own food. Those are things that are very admirable qualities, as many of us seek to do something different, upgrade our lives, or write new chapters. But I remember the moment several of the key people there, of the elders, or Joseph Robinson and his mates, who actually initially I had a high degree of respect for, again because of what I saw in them, superficially now that I look at and what it appeared they had accomplished. But again, in in retrospect, I did not know these people, and I didn't know many of the details of their life. But one of his right hands, his main right hand, I remember when I lost respect for her. We were asking to go out to get a signal, because it became a big production for us to go out and to get a signal to communicate with folks in the States. Also, and reflecting back, this is one of the ways that a lot of control was maintained. And although Joseph Robinson, as I've seen a pattern with other cult leaders, will tell you that the people in here are here because they want to be here. Nobody's holding them here. They make their own decisions. I watched once when we asked to go out to get a signal, to communicate. There was a production giving money for gas to travel out, and had to be a whole big coordination. Later on, we realized we were pretty much isolated. Um, but her response in the back and forth, like her inability to make a decision without this man. When I saw that, well, you told us we were going to go out to get a signal, or you're going out. Can we get a signal? Can we go out with you to get a signal to use the internet? These are all grown adults. Well, I have to consult with the high priest. Everything to do any kind of move, you have to consult with the high priest. This one particular day, I lost respect for this woman who initially I had tremendous respect for. Highly educated, double degrees, but seemed like one of his most dedicated followers and mates. Later, when I found out more of the circumstances of her being there, um, that's understandable how somebody in a vulnerable position, and many people are vulnerable to cults when they've gone through life crises in their career, or in their marriages, or illness. They're vulnerable. That's understood. But when I watched this woman, I said, could we go out for a signal? I have to consult with the high priest. To make any decision, this very intelligent woman had to go and consult him for the simplest of things. I didn't see any self-respect for herself. I remember that moment. I said, I'm not messing with her anymore. This is someone who was one of the main liaisons. She's considered the quote-unquote Oshami of the high priest. This whole other language. A lot of things that many cult leaders rework and refabricate bits and pieces of culture to use it to create a whole story narrative and a fantasy. But the bottom line was, here's a grown woman that we're asking a question, and it was almost like she's so discombobulated, or such a lack of esteem, so not willing to take a stand for a simple decision. She had to consult with him for everything. I lost respect for her that day. I lost respect for Joseph Robinson when I watched how he spoke to his mates. Highly educated woman, a lawyer, was asking him something very simple, offering him a shopping list of things they needed to get from the market. And the way he barked at her, and the way he spoke to her, I was like, wow. I watched how he spoke to different people, and I watched the excuses that people inside of the cult, his mates, grown adult women, made for his behavior. he used to talk sometimes and say that he was a millionaire, whether he was or not, wasn't. I wasn't there. I found him to be very petty and manipulative. Again, I'm more mature. I'm older than a lot of the younger people that have come into the cult, the people that have just been anchor babied in or have anchor babies in there. And so when you have some life experience, you may not know everything, but life experience gives you some wisdom and insight into patterns. I lost respect for him. I lost respect for him as a man and as an elder. Again, the ideals of community and fruits and vegetables, there's nothing wrong with that. But I lost respect for his character. For example, it's like somebody, to misuse and to take for granted women that were coming here offering access to their resources and open to supporting you in a mission, a collective mission. There was no reason to mistreat folks. It's like he didn't have, I don't know what he's bitter about in his previous life. He's bitter about being blind or whatever. I lost respect. I lost respect for him. And it really contaminated the whole process. Again, his children are born into a cult. I mean, what can they do? So I lost respect for him. So I had no desire to be there when I lost respect for his mate, the one that I initially respected and who I was inspired by her singing and her dedication. But once I learned the backdrop and the story of how she came to be there, and when I heard from her own mouth, manipulated and cued by him, how many times she wanted to leave, and all the different stories that were said about the other people that were there and how many times they wanted to leave, of course, the average person wouldn't be privy to this because he has to be secure that you're broken before you're privy to a lot of this information. Looking back, I don't even know how much he even wanted us to be there, other than we were cash cows and provided a source of income for the different schemes he wanted to, that he was up to, his different missions and things to generate money. Even generating money is not wrong. It's the context and the manipulation. And then the so-called Queen Mother, the only one that's married to him legally. I lost respect for her too. I lost respect when I watched families that came down, other families, how the manipulation of the children and the need to tell different people everybody's personal business within the cult. These were just basic things like why we would question like why would you tell us other people's personal business? There were different things in his character. This person that was supposed to be such a millionaire, just different common sense things about his character didn't add up. He was very, very petty. Again, to be a miserly, and I get being frugal and responsible when you have responsibility for a community or for your family on your 99 acres of land. Is one thing to be responsible, but I just found him very, very petty and really taking people for granted. Maybe because there weren't a lot of people around. So the people that he has in the pipeline, those are his pipelines to money, and money on the outside. So I lost respect for him. I lost respect for his so-called, what he calls his walking stick or his feminine interpreter, his feminine speaking voice that was Shami, with the glasses. She takes off her glasses sometimes. She's the one who mostly speaks for him. And I lost respect for his so-called Queen Mother. And so although they have these titles and they're elders, I lost respect because of the lack of character. Do we expect a perfect human being? No, but there's just some things in his character I lost respect for. It's just not a need. There's not a need to manipulate and scam your own people. I find it quite disgusting. But anyway, and moving on for that, just quite simply, yes, an elder. We can talk of the fantasy of who we would like this person to be and try to ascribe qualities to him, to this man who we don't know. But the bottom line is I lost respect. And when I lost respect, it was time for me to go. Then other things I saw, in terms of the mistreatment of new people that were coming in, and the need to put other people down, although they may eat meat and do other things. Just the way that he spoke about people's parents and to drag them through the mud, as a high priest. I just thought it was like his character really turned out to be really stink. His sarcasm, his lack of sensitivity, his excuses for the way he spoke to people, the never being able to take any accountability or admit to that he could ever make an error. Or, and the whole collective, they could see things that he would do wrong. Or, I mean, the man is physically blind. I actually watched one day him come and, have some kind of harsh words for one of the young people. And he accused or said that somebody was doing something that they actually weren't doing. But the young person went along with it because that was her papa. So I noticed that people would not call him out on certain things because he was the high priest. Lost respect. So that's one thing. The other thing that I just wanted to share, just an insight, is that for many folks, black folks, chocolate folks in the diaspora, we have the opportunity to tell a new story and a new narrative. The narrative that we're buying into is leaving us vulnerable. The narrative that we're saying about slavery, yes, stuff definitely did happen. I can dig it. The results of that experience, they're evident. But we are limiting ourselves with the narrative of slavery. It doesn't make sense to think we can't learn from other people. Other people can't learn from us, that our life is over. The narrative we're telling of only what happened to us, we're not enough in it doesn't appear in my simple observation that we're enough in the conversation of possibilities for intimate relationships, for love, for travel, for creating new things, going to new industries. We bought into a narrative that we accuse other people of putting on us, but we bought into a narrative, and some of it at this point is on us. We're telling a new narrative, almost like we don't have the capability to do anything different or a new thing. We're not just a conquered people. We were never just slaves. We knew that. In one sense, we say that we knew that we're not really slaves. That's not all of our history. Yet that's all we play into, as if we don't have the capacity to do something different with our time and with our resources. And I would say, you know what? We're disempowering ourselves with the narrative that we're telling. We may have been born into a particular narrative, but it's not the only narrative in the story of our lives. We can write a new story, and it requires something for what we say that we want. It requires that we give something up, or we trade something and work, put something effort in for what we say we want and the lives we want to live. It's so much fear mongering. We're allowing ourselves to play into the narrative of fear. If we don't do this, this is going to happen. They're going to blow up the world, and yes, people are being killed. So much stuff is happening, but we're so focused on the fear that we're not taking risks. We're not putting the time in. We're not taking risks. And for example, and I'm saying this because what Joseph Robinson, the cult member or the cult leader, could not take away from me is, first of all, some of the simple common sense wisdom that my godparents and my grandma Lou exposed me to. Just some simple little gems, and some experiences that I had created for myself on my own. I've seen a decent amount of a nice amount of the world, different countries. Was I rich when I went there? No, I was creative. I got a job at an airline. I was just really creative. I had a dollar strand pearls, pair of pearls on my neck, some fake pearls, and some Payless shoes, and I got to go on some trips and see the world. I've been to Greece and to Kenya with the Maasai. And this is not to brag, but I'm saying I did this, on the same, make $1 out of 15 cents, being creative, being an honorable person, being giving. He could never take that from me. He didn't make me, so he can't break me. He's not the one that inspired me to, go plant-based. That wasn't him. That was based on some things that I saw. I thought that there was a resonance, but obviously it wasn't a resonance. Ultimately, in terms of character and values, we may have had certain things in common that we wanted to do, but there was no character resonance in terms of I wasn't there to be controlled. No matter how many good things I saw him doing, I wasn't interested in submitting myself to be controlled. And through our narrative, it makes us, or the story of our life, that's supposedly our life, it makes us vulnerable to being conned and scammed, because we feel like life is over and we just walk around just scared. So we have to go to the cult leader or go into something, or just keep praying in fear for protection. So, I invite folks to just think about your narrative. If we're telling stories that may be actual stories of you had your mother, or you didn't have your mother, father was on drugs, or this happened to me and that. Okay, there's plenty of things that have happened to all of us, but we're allowing all the fear mongering of the man, and some stuff may even be valid, but we're allowing this to cut off our creativity and kind of like F it and don't really care about our lives and not take responsibility for our lives. So playing into the narratives um, that we can't do this and we're only slaves, it's limiting, and it makes us vulnerable to these con artists. It's a lot of fear mongering. The fear mongering is leaving us limited. We don't have to walk around, we don't have to put other people down to lift us up. All human beings are capable of all kinds of dastardly acts. And actually, when I sit and I think about it, it's common sense. It's common sense to treat people with honor and respect. It's common sense also to protect yourself and move yourself out of harm's way. This goes beyond color. So I say this to say that just the main thing I just wanted to share very quickly is the narrative that we're telling can leave us vulnerable, and we can write a new story. We can write how we would like it to go. I can't change that experience that I had in at Joseph Robinson, and it has definitely given me tremendous insight, and I can use it to empower me to show me more of what I don't want. It just gave me some things gave me some wisdom that wasn't on my radar before. I had some experiences. They weren't pleasant, but when I tell you it gave me some clarity and some real life lessons, definitely has taught me to value myself even more. When you don't value yourself and your own experiences, you will allow somebody to wipe your name away to give you a new name and tell you what it means. Many of us are looking for somebody to tell us that we're so, and I get it, it's not to condemn. We're so desperate for the validation of parents that weren't there. We're so desperate for the touch and the physical affection. We're so desperate for somebody to tell us it's going to be all right. But you know what? That's really on us. Because when you make that somebody else's responsibility, it leaves us so vulnerable. We're so scared. Many of us are paralyzed into fear. And so we just rather give into the fear and let somebody else write the story and write the narrative. But it's up to us to write a new narrative in this life. I'm be honest. You know what? If I have folks around me that are honorable, not based on words, based on action and consistent, um, that's what's important, that honor their word, that are not, trying to stiff me. And I don't know who those people are going to be. They'll show up. Definitely, I have more healthy boundaries, learned a tremendous amount of lessons. But I could just say here, when you can't respect somebody's character, got scammed by a phone scammer. Your mom got scammed by a phone scammer. Yeah, I mean, this is the age of savvy scamming. And you don't want to be paranoid, but it's necessary, and it's healthy esteem to create healthy boundaries. It is necessary in a culture, in a climate where you can't, everybody has cartoons and avatars and no picture, and you don't know who people are. People get jobs and you don't ever see their face. You may never see the people that are working with your finances, your bank account. That's the climate that we're in, as people are outsourcing services all over the globe. So it is up to us to set the boundaries, and not be limited. Again, you can travel, you can have love, you can have respectful love, but you're going to have to do something to create it. You're going to have to, I invite you, I can't tell grown folks what to do, is to exercise first healthy respect for yourself, in order to attract that first. But to be with people, you have to overlook their behavior and their character just so you can fit in, and just so you can have a man, or just so you can have a woman. There may be some people that feel like they're unlucky in love, or nobody's interested in them, and we just want the cult leader to do it all. We just want to pray and beg, and if we pray enough, somebody's going to come and fix it. And it's up to us to create the lives that we want and put in the work. That's one of the things that a garden can show you. You can do a whole lot of work and you can still lose a crop, and you can still lose the seeds. And I will also say, like, we could say sad, but I invite people to move beyond the sad, because again, this life is so precious. You know what? I'm gonna say this, and some folks may not like it. Some of the cultural folks and the folks in the conscious community. Some simple things that I got. I remember my mother telling me my mother is one of the gifts that she gave to me. She's very open and she's very, very sweet. And she said, sometimes the people that help you may not look like your own people. And I've been in different kinds of jobs. I remember when I used to work for an airline, and when you go up in a 747 with almost half a thousand people and the door shuts, you know, you're prepped for an emergency should the plane go down. And I remember thinking, if this plane goes down, do I have any regrets? Number one. And number two, if anybody's getting out of this aircraft, an emergency is going to be me. And so I remember going through the emergency drills inside the airplane and thinking, you know, I don't care when the plane is going down. I don't care if you're white, you're Jewish, you got curly cues. I don't care about your sexuality. I don't care about any of those things. When that airplane goes down, whoever is awake and alert and ready to operate that emergency equipment so we can get to safety, that's what I'm going. We can deal with that. It just becomes non-important. You know, there's certain things that make you think of your mortality and to appreciate the life that you have. And I invite us as chocolate folks, just because we have so many different skin tones and colors and varied value systems. Not everybody's attracted to the same thing. Not everybody loves the same thing. Not everybody's going to eat fruits and vegetables. Some people will be vegan. Some people want to be healthy. It's a bunch of human beings out here. There's so many narratives that have been put on us that we are suffocating from all the stories and the religions and the narratives and the fear that we can't even make clear decisions. So I invite folks to, after we can assess the lessons and the stories and the trauma, write a new story and think about the possibilities for your life, because I can learn from anybody. I can learn, and I'm a lifelong learner. You know, it keeps me curious. It makes me excited. You know, I'm still interested in aerial dance and trying new things. I remember jumping inside of an Olympic pool-sized pool and really couldn't swim. And that's what allowed me to pass a test so I could go to Japan. Did I have a lot of money in my pocket? No, I had some trail mix and stuff from my local food co-op, you know, but I got to go. You know, I wasn't quote unquote rich. You know, if we are resilient and resourceful and we have grit and we cultivate work ethic and we cultivate just good habits and an openness and a respect for ourselves, we can write a new narrative, you know, instead of allowing other folks to just lead us like dogs on leashes. You know, if we're saying that we're intelligent and we're kings and queens, we're so lost in the words that we're disconnected. And I don't really get that many of us are enjoying just getting the fullness out of our life. There's so much to be learned right now. The internet could be negative or it could be positive depending on your intentions and what you would like to use it. I invite you folks, write a narrative, you know, rather than the slavery and the white supremacy. Okay, let's say it's all true. Is that it? Is it over for us? We can't create anything new? You know what I'm saying? Just the thought of creating something new and being willing and open to quote unquote make mistakes and failures really just feedback. You know, are we willing to just create something new? Okay, we can say that's my story. The people that we're most inspired by in the Olympics or even in life is the people that came from so-called meager circumstances or did something just with passion and not really even intentionally meaning to create something great, but they did it because they wanted to from a place of genuine interest, you know, and passion. You know, we have so much. All people have their gifts, but us as the people, we have so much, and we're selling ourselves short. We're selling ourselves short. Life is not over. This man did not make me. I was affected. But you know, sometimes we say I'm this and I'm that. He didn't make me, so he can't break me. That's for sure. He didn't make me, so he can't break me. I'm moving on. No, you didn't silence me. Yes, my voice is important. I'm going to express myself and I'm going to share. We all have the right to do that, and your voice is valuable. Write your story. You know, if we're not limited because of our skin color. We're not. You know, nobody else has this hair. The fact that we're not, you know, capitalizing off of our culture and sharing it with the world and allowing it to feed us, that's on us. But it's up to us to be creative, you know, and not allow somebody else to tell us what to think, who we can learn from. You know, we're intelligent beings. There's some stuff from the past. Your past doesn't define who you'll be in the future, who you become later. Life is based on trials and tribulations. There's lessons. I got some butt-kicking lessons. You know what? Lessons can give you